Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. For you see, after losing trivia for many episodes, I finally did something miraculous. I finally won. And
On a
so,
coin
because of
flip.
that, boys and girls, we get to talk about my favorite movie, which for some reason is unironically Steven
Guardians of the
Spielberg's
Galaxy
Lincoln.
Volume 2.
What was that?
It's
Spielberg
Guardians 2,
didn't
right?
do Guardians 2, George.
I was
I,
not expecting that so much that I couldn't even comprehend.
I watched Guardians 2 in preparation for tonight's episode. Was I not supposed to?
I watched The Lincoln Lawyer,
Mm.
so
Oh man. Oh boy. Well,
I was
the
really
Lincoln
off.
lawyers. I get it. I get it. Why?
I
Why?
just bought Lincoln Logs.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just have to speak unencumbered for 40 minutes or so. All right, let's go.
All right,
No,
I'll
I'm
go off
kidding.
camera.
No.
Do
No,
one of
no.
Lincoln's speeches.
No, I mean, I will say this. I feel like to some extent I always rewatch Lincoln with some trepidation of like, well shit, am I gonna finally start like disliking the movie more? And it still hasn't happened. It's
You mean did we
unfortunately
did we peer pressure you into thinking that this is not your favorite movie?
no, it's more
Or did
it's
we
it's
pressure you
more
into
I almost can't believe it myself. Like we were talking a bit about it. If you want to pose your question like Max, what if you want to pose your question?
I mean, you're hosting, but I guess I can share the first question. Like, Declan, why did you pick this movie?
Yeah, no.
Like,
If I just started talking, I would sound self-centered. So
like lay it out for us
So-
in great detail, please.
here's the thing. I'm gonna paraphrase Daryl from The Office when I explain this. You might think I love Lincoln because I'm a cinephile. Psych. I love The Apartment because I'm a cinephile. I love Lincoln because I'm a history buff. For you see, on in my other my other life, not at all other life, I'm also a big history fan, and I have no idea what George is doing right now. Sorry, I got lost my train of thought there for a split second there. So because of that, um, I feel that Lincoln somehow manages to capture like a what it presents on screen is the stuff I find so compelling about history, and it's done to such perfection, such a amazing job recapturing this moment in 1865, and Day Lewis as Lincoln in this truly like once in a lifetime performance. I just it's a film that I can understand why other people don't even like it. Well, not don't like it, but I can understand why it's not like everyone's cup of tea. But for me, it like almost too perfectly captures like the exact like just so many things I love about history and about Abraham Lincoln as a leader, as a person. There's a lot, but I'm curious. What do? Oh shit! Sorry, my video has been a bit spotty, but no. So I'll
John
be in
Wilkes
and out.
Booth has entered the Zoom call.
Oh my god! But no, but now I gotta pose it to you. What do you guys actually think of this movie that I love so much?
I'll go first. I do genuinely enjoy this movie. Spielberg's never one to like really get my mind going, but he always does really well done films, and this is certainly no exception. Pretty straightforward cinematography and directing, except for like the dream scenes that he has,
Yeah.
which I find to be pretty cool.
Though I do gotta give credit. Maybe it was just the Blu-ray I was watching it on, but I feel like I don't know who the cinematographer is, but I feel like the look of the film is a bit more it's like it just I don't know it's somehow vivid when I watch it. I don't know
It's
what
actually Tony Kushner.
Tony Kushner is both writer and cinematographer. Like that would be the greatest like
You
achievement.
know what? At the rate that my student film is going, that might end up being what I do on my film.
Oh my gosh.
Janusz Kaminski,
Janusz Kaminski. Oh yeah, he's
who
worked with
did
Spielberg.
Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan,
Damn. Okay.
and
Okay.
West Side Story and War Horse.
Holy
so
shit.
he works with Spielberg
So
all the time.
frequent Spielberg collaborator.
Yeah. And
yeah.
also when
As
also
most of these guys do.
mhm.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Oh,
What I was going to say was there is something that both Lincoln and Nightmare on Elm Street have in common,
Mhm.
which is the quote that he says in the beginning of Wet Dreams. Were it not that I have bad dreams from Hamlet. Also kind of interesting to use a Hamlet quote like that
Oh yeah.
in a
Oh,
film
it makes sense.
like this.
Yeah. Like Spielberg was a big fan of Shakespeare. Like that's a
Everyone is, and if you work
Yes,
in
that-
film
that-
and you're one of these legends, you love Shakespeare.
Mhm.
I mean, they're fantastic for taking inspiration.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh,
the
yeah,
tragedies, the comedies.
yeah. 100%.
It's definitely the style of a lot of the auteur new Hollywood filmmakers
Mhm.
like Steven Spielberg.
Oh yeah. And Max, I'm honestly genuinely curious as someone who's like on this podcast, like semi close to politics as well, kind. I don't know how you describe it. I would feel like it's okay to call you at least a little bit close to politics. What do you think of this film?
I'm kind of with Ben actually. Look, I know that we give you a lot of shit for this being your favorite movie. But it's a good watch, right? I mean, I think I take away from it a lot of the historical rhetoric. Um, Lincoln was one of the presidents that I studied for my honors thesis.
Nice.
And sort of the way that he handled essentially the dissolution of the United States, the Union. And look, that's really cool to me. It's like it's fascinating and it's incredible to see sort of the portrayal of history on screen and to see it done in a way that is it's fairly easy to digest, right? Like Ben said, it's not a movie that is going to force you to, you know, break your mind. It's not an Inception. It's not a mind bender. It's very straightforward, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I think it works in that way. It's like it's not a film that needs to be poured over and dissected every time you watch it. You can just watch it to enjoy the film.
Though I gotta give credit where it's due in like they did have one like subtextual thing that's I was honestly like surprised when I noticed it in the cabinet room that Lincoln sits in. There's a picture of William Henry Harrison on the wall, and the only president who at that point who had died. Oh gosh. Does Maggie have any opinions about
Maggie, what do you
Spielberg?
think of President Lincoln? You're almost as tall as him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, but yeah, there's a picture of Harrison on the wall, and it's just like, oh man, is that a metaphor for the specter of death lingering over Lincoln? But even then, it's so subtle that it's like no one except someone like me who watches it often would never see that.
I'm half like wondering whether that's just. I mean, there were only so many presidents.
The problem is it was too deliberate. Like it's not like next to him there's like another random picture of a president. Like it's so it's so clearly Harrison, like
What's
that.
crazy is
Mm.
that if you look really closely in the shots of Lincoln on his deathbed, there's a portrait of JFK right over him.
That's pretty insane.
Spielberg, you son of a bitch.
What
Anyway,
about in the Oliver Stone JFK movie?
Oh
Is
my
there a
God.
picture of Lincoln?
oh my god, there probably is, honestly, somewhere.
I mean, we could go off about the similarities between Lincoln's assassination and Kennedy's assassination.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
boys.
So first of all, they both died.
They were both president of the United States.
And they were
also.
both president. They were both beloved presidents.
That's true. Mhm. They both had cabinets. That is like a
That's
thing.
true.
Mhm.
Look
Physical
at the White
and
House.
like,
Mhm.
Yep.
what is this?
Anyway, since I'm hosting, George, you don't get to say anything. No, I'm kidding. George, what do you? I'm sorry. George, what did you think of the movie?
Well, I said this before we started recording. The last time I saw this movie was in a movie theater 11 years ago or so.
So
Um,
funny.
Hadn't seen it since. Hadn't really thought to give it another watch. Glad I did. You know, I will say that I will agree and disagree with some of what has already been said. It's a really well-made film, and I give Spielberg a lot of crap for some of his more recent films. Oddly enough, I haven't really seen a lot of his recent work.
Post.
Yeah, like what? 'Cause
All of them have been good.
I feel like you're shitting on films you have never seen.
Yeah, the only reason you're giving him crap is because I love him.
That's
No,
not
it's
true.
so valid to shit on the post though.
The
I
haven't seen
post
the
was
post. I-
The post wasn't that bad of a
No,
film,
it wasn't
though.
bad, but it's
It
just
should
like
have been better.
the dude made it in like 6 months.
That is true. That is true.
Like
Um,
one, that's
like-
insane to deliver the product that he did, but also like,
Come on.
come
Come
on.
on.
Hey man, Hitchcock did
West Side
plenty of
Story-
films in 3 months.
Yeah.
West Side Story, I still haven't seen,
You really should.
but he, took something that someone else made and tried to do his own thing. Fablemans, he just told his own life story. It feels like a victory lap that is deserved. He deserves
Relax,
to take
yeah, it's a
victory lap.
deserved victory lap.
Yeah.
You see what Harrison Ford's doing these days?
Oh, Harrison
He's doing
Ford is
Shrinking
playing
with Jason
Thunderbolt
Segel.
Ross. He's playing Red Hulk.
True.
That's not a
He's-
victory lap.
Yeah, I want to see
He-
Harrison Ford Hulk out on screen.
I've been told he's in one of those
He's going
Yellowstone
to.
prequels, and I've been told that he's really bad in it.
Interesting.
And I believe it.
And what?
We're also going to talk
One of the
about
Yellowstone
Dial of Destiny
prequels.
in about
Oh,
4 months.
I
5
heard he's
months,
pretty good in
so,
it. I mean, it's
Oh,
with
really?
Helen Mirren, so
But just back to Lincoln.
yeah. Sorry.
Spielberg does a really good job with this. Obviously he did his research. 9 years worth went into making this film. He and Kushner worked really hard on the screenplay. Even though I don't love the script, I feel like a lot of the dialogue, particularly that of Lincoln, feels like let's lift words written on the page by Lincoln and have him speak them. And it comes across that way in a way that just
I
Yeah.
will interject and defend on Declan's behalf.
Declan's like, fuck yeah.
That is more of a description of your
Mm.
your
Can I
knowledge
explain my
on
point?
Lincoln.
Mm.
No, I have to make an interjection because that is not a fair point, because many people have described Lincoln as the greatest orator of his time, not just in public, but in private.
Mm.
So how he speaks in this film is actually very, very much how people have described him.
Yeah.
So
I think
not
George.
a fair
I don't think
criticism.
George was. I don't think George
I
was
wasn't-
discounting that. I think he was
I wasn't
saying
saying
that
anything otherwise.
this. I think he was saying that the. If I can put words in your mouth, George, I think he was. I
Please
think
do.
George was saying that, the screenplay itself, outside of Lincoln, might not be the strongest, but that they were able to elevate either the idea of Lincoln's words or his actual words and put them into something that is super effective.
Mm.
Yeah, while not necessarily modern day conversational, if you will,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's 1865. Like it's okay. You can
It
talk
was
differently.
true to form for Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, for Lincoln, the person, the president.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
Who else would you be talking about?
I didn't love. Well, I could have been talking about the script as a whole.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's fine to
Um,
dislike it. I was just interjecting the
Mhm.
criticizing it for the Lincoln aspect because he specifically pointed out Lincoln.
but then you get great lines like Sewell, right? Is his name the Secretary of State?
Yeah, Seward.
Uh-huh.
Seward.
Seward.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
not a history buff.
Declan Seward.
Seward, he has a couple of lines in the second act where he's like, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, "Who talks like that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
saying doesn't make sense."
I will
And
say,
those
yeah.
moments, and I'm just gonna finish my thought here. Those moments give it a little bit of levity, give the screenplay a little bit more accessibility. And I think, you know, with the great orator that Lincoln was, having the voice of the audience in there
Mhm.
through the Secretary of State
Mhm.
makes
Yeah.
that part of the screenplay a little bit more accessible. And just quickly, I want to disagree with something that Max said.
Cool.
I know you just backed me up, pal, but I'm gonna shit
No,
on
you're
something
good.
you
Tear
said.
him down.
You said that this is a good watch. It's not a good watch. Like, I enjoy the movie, don't get me wrong. The drama is there. I said this on the Wakanda Forever episode. I'm gonna say it now. The best movies make you feel something, and when the vote passes, spoiler alert,
Mhm.
you feel something. You feel good
Spoiler,
for
yeah.
Lincoln, and you feel
That's
good
fair.
for the.
Mhm.
But it's 2.5 hours long. It just feels like it could have been, and it's a poorly paced 2.5 hours. It could have been told in 2 hours. There's a lot that could have been left on the cutting room floor. And I just feel like what we get from a slightly bloated telling of this, last few months of third to last month of Lincoln's life, I just feel like it could have been tighter. But on the whole, while not necessarily a great watch, it's still a really well-made film.
Mhm. I actually do somewhat disagree with you on your thing of the script. But first, I just gotta give a quick I gotta give a quick anecdote before,
This
because
is kind of nice that this is spicy though, because like
Yeah.
on the other favorite films,
Let
I
me
didn't
do a
watch-
one sentence comment.
I don't dislike the film. I like the film.
George,
I
you
just-
don't need to defend yourself. We're all
George,
buddies here.
Look, it's fine. You can defend yourself if you want, but I'm just going to tell everybody that this
Then
man
I feel-
did
That you're,
recommend
that you're wrong.
Babylon as a good watch, despite
I did?
him describing all of the genuine criticisms that he had.
No, but the anecdote I want to give,
Babylon's not a good watch.
in terms of
You did say it on the podcast, though.
The first
Well,
10
I
minutes
disagree
were
with
the
what I said a
hardest
month ago.
watch in theaters
New canon.
outside of Elvis.
Yeah.
And the
Oh
only
my God.
reason it was
Elvis might be the worst watch that we've had.
That's a pretty
blonde,
bad one.
Blonde.
But yeah, Blonde is way worse. Wasn't
Blonde.
that 3 hours?
That was
Blonde
like 3
it felt
hours.
like 3 hours.
of trauma porn.
It was definitely 3 hours.
But like
and it was-
Babylon, like the first 10 minutes were just shock and awe. It was literally just like, yeah, let's see what we can do to like fuck with the audience's head, and then we can bore them to sleep for the next 2.5 hours.
yeah,
You know
Wake
what
them
else
up
was
just to
really
put them
bad
to sleep.
to get it back to Lincoln very quickly, I just got to share this thing. It was really fascinating when I was like reading a biography of Lincoln, because like of course that's what I do, and like I literally
This was based on the famous biopic book.
Yeah. I was reading what was even funnier is I was reading a different biography from Team of Rivals. Yeah, I know that one. It's great.
Yeah.
One, but I was reading a different one, and in that other biography, the biographer like describes the like Ethan Allen story he had of like no man can get a British man to shit quicker than George Washington. Like he described the exact story, and which again shows it's to your point that like the film I feel like does a really fantastic job of like bringing Abraham Lincoln like to life on screen. And I think also like adding on to that, I think the key to this endeavor, like the endeavor of trying to make a film about Abraham Lincoln, I think might be the cast here. And like a lot of Spielberg's historical films, I said this on Letterboxd, this has a bizarrely good cast, even in like tiny roles. Like the perfect example being
David
the
Oyelowo.
telegraph operator is
Adam
fucking
Driver.
friend of the podcast, Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Whoa! You don't
Yeah.
get to just declare someone friend of the pod.
Hey,
No,
hey, that was
he's
that's-
already been ordained in front of the pod.
Yeah,
That
he's
is-
been declared.
yeah, that is
Yeah, it's pretty.
No.
It's pretty funny. I think that was before he was really famous.
yeah, no, that was
before
was
Star
really
Wars.
yeah,
That was
definitely before Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think
It reminded me of like seeing Michael Fassbender in some early films before he was famous. He just sort of
Yeah,
shows up and is like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's Michael Fassbender."
it's I feel like Spielberg like Spielberg, I don't know what it is. I feel like his historical films will just like have in small roles actors like half the time it's really famous actors. Half the time it's like an early role by a famous
That's true.
actor.
Benedict Cumberbatch is in Warhorse.
Yeah, and Vin Diesel is in Saving Private Ryan. Like,
Yeah,
did
that's
you know
weird.
that?
Yeah.
The
Yes, we knew that.
best-
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah, but did you know that audience? That's really what I'm asking. But no, but so I feel that like almost everyone here is phenomenal and does a fantastic job. Obviously, Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln, I do feel like I forget. I like when I watch it, I start to forget that I'm watching Daniel Day-Lewis and like just accept him as Lincoln for me. I mean, it's possibly like I'm too blinded by it, but I do also want to give a quick shout out to David Stram. I don't know if I pronounced his last name properly, but as William Seward, I feel like he gives a great job as like the counter, like the other person for Lincoln to talk to. I don't know. I feel like the two of them, like obviously he's not as like memorable as Daniel Day-Lewis is as Lincoln, but I feel like he's like this. I feel like he's often he's like the quiet guy in the scene, in the sense of like people talk about Daniel Day-Lewis, but his contribution to the film through his performance, I think, can easily be overlooked, and I think he does a great job in it as well, in my opinion.
I'm gonna jump in here on the cast. When I was 15
Mhm.
and I saw this movie, I thought, wow, that is Abraham Lincoln. And then I rewatched the movie today, Wednesday, and I thought, wow, that is Daniel Day-Lewis playing Abraham Lincoln.
Really?
I remembered him dissolving into the more a little bit more than he appeared to today.
I don't
And
know.
maybe I just need to watch it again, and I'm more than willing to. But I love his performance. I just see him more as an actor playing President Lincoln than just President Lincoln.
I will
What is-
disagree on that.
What is your point of reference?
My death.
I want to tell you right now, George,
Well,
that
in
Daniel
other-
Day-Lewis is the greatest actor I've ever seen on film.
Yeah.
He is a
And that's more than fair. However,
that is watch
doesn't-
more of his roles. Watch Gangs of New York. See how he goes in that role.
That
Watch
doesn't
My Left
change-
Foot.
There-
Go
there
watch
were-
changed how I saw him in this one viewing experience, though. Next time I watch this movie, I could very well say, wow, that's President Lincoln.
But it's probably just because your last reference point is him as Lincoln.
Mhm.
Like every single time he acts, he completely dissolves into the role.
Yeah.
Because he's
And if you
British.
look at him and see Daniel Day-Lewis, it's because you've seen Abraham Lincoln the last time and you remember that's Daniel Day-Lewis, but
Yeah.
he does not act like that in any other
That's
film.
fair.
Mhm.
But I want to give a shout out to my guy James Spader,
Mhm.
who is
100%.
far and away, in my opinion, far and away my favorite performance of the film. Not the best,
Mhm.
Daniel Day-Lewis gives the best performance in the film. Sally Field is great. Tommy Lee Jones is great. Down the list, everyone is, absolute box office here.
Mm-hmm.
But James Spader, man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No,
he
he
is just so much fun
he
to watch in this one.
he somehow is like so like he does not feel at all out of place, but he is so entertaining to watch in it. Like it's weird thinking back on it because like he should like for a lesser filmmaker, he would be like this annoying comedy relief character, but he feels like
that's
a
what I
natural
expected.
part
That's
of
what I
it.
expected when I saw him hanging out with Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah,
Because I didn't remember the film that much.
Tim Blake Nelson, also a fantastic actor.
Yeah,
100%.
I love Tim Blake Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is one of my favorite.
It was weird seeing he was in the film as well.
Speaking of another Coen Brothers guy, Daniel Stuhlberg.
Michael Stuhlberg.
Michael Stuhlberg. I don't know. Daniel is
perhaps best known for his performance in Doctor Strange.
I was about to say, but he's in A Serious Man,
or that guy that you always recognize but can never remember his fucking name. That's generally where you know him from.
All right, I'm going to give you a comp for him.
He's just really good in A Serious Man.
He looks so much like Bradley Whitford. Can you guys see that?
Who?
Michael Stuhlbarg.
No, he doesn't look like Bradley Whitford.
The first time I saw,
look like Bradley Whitford.
No, I swear to God, the first time I saw
absolutely not
Doctor Strange, I thought, "Is that Bradley Whitford?"
Bradley Whitford is not.
You may be blind. they don't look anything alike.
Yeah.
All right, Ben. Has anyone ever told you that you look like President Lincoln?
George, you're the one wearing the hat.
I'm not even wearing the hat. Yeah.
Oh, here, let me pass it over to you.
Put it on.
Though also, like another person whom we should talk about, I feel like damn Tommy Lee Jones has some just phenomenal.
Oh yes, great.
Thaddeus Stevens, God bless him.
He's got some great speeches in that.
Like his
the Congress. Where,
it's also quintessential Tommy Lee Jones, just being like a crotchety old man.
He's really, in a sense, playing himself.
Yeah.
Playing the character of Thaddeus Stevens.
What he reminded me of is himself in The Fugitive. When he's just yelling at people, you must be the sorriest police officer town has ever seen. It's just like belittling.
See, I was gonna say Men in Black, but like same thing.
But the thing is, we can talk about Tommy Lee Jones and these iconic characters he's played, like Samuel Gerard or like Agent K, and it's Tommy Lee Jones, like I said, playing himself. But it works across the board, and this film is absolutely no exception.
Like I feel like with Tommy Lee Jones, it's like you feel like he is you feel his like determination and complete like eyes set on the abolition of slavery, and it's like sort of like him being this force for that is like so compelling to watch. I love.
And then you got the really annoying, bitchy other abolitionists that would never get anything done. Just
like
yell at people.
It is fun. It is funny when the guy goes up to him after his like fantastic like I believe you are less than me to the like Democratic senator.
It's like the modern Democratic Party.
And he was and he said like you would say just about anything to wouldn't you? And he's like the abolition of slavery is literally within my grasp. Yes, I will literally say anything.
I love the first time where it's like, nothing astonishes you.
Yeah.
It's like, what does astonish you?
Yeah. Though also like though again, the other thing that the film does a pretty good job on is I do feel like it does a decent job in like condensing the really the complicated like inter-party like it doesn't do it perfectly, but I feel like it does a decent job of like getting all the different like factions within the Republican Party at the time and even the Democratic Party at the time, and sort of like trying to convey it in a relatively natural way. It's like, oh, there are the bitchy northern New England abolitionists who are kind of annoying sometimes. Then there are the conservative Republicans who are don't really care as much about abolishing slavery and wouldn't mind it failing. And then there are the Democrats who are at the time reactionary, basically proponents of slavery. And there's the war going on. And I think I feel like the first time I saw the film back in theaters, as well as you, George, there was some moments where I felt like it went over my head a little bit. But I feel like each time I've rewatched it, which, like, of course, this is the case, but still, I do feel like the film does a good job at like making sure the audience is like up to speed with like what Abraham Lincoln is working with and like what he's trying to do when he's trying to pass this amendment.
I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the only time that I really felt something was out of place was the one guy that was like, I can't remember his name, but he's like, yeah, I believe that black people are inferior to white people, and he goes on, he's like, I am a prejudiced person.
Yeah. Like
talks like that.
There. It's like, yes.
Ben, you get a couple of drinks in Declan and he talks like that.
Ben, it's a fun fact. That's a direct quote from the character.
Like, I would not be surprised
from a historical figure.
day.
They found his diary. That's the only
That's the only
entry.
thing he just says. I hate black people.
Stop.
I am a prejudiced man.
That line was lifted from Spielberg's pending autobiography.
Jesus Christ.
God.
I'm sorry, Steven Spielberg,
No,
my
no,
guy.
no.
I don't mean it.
The other thing that's like is I do appreciate about the film is I feel that like
yeah, you're feeling that.
Oh no! Oh god! Oh no! This is wow! Wow! That was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. That was
the best one of those yet.
like
That's the stuff.
oh my gosh! Dang it! My camera's.
It's perfect.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt, boys.
You know, gosh. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Hopefully, are working more properly in a second. Maybe we. No, never mind. Anyway,
It was working fine the way I saw it.
You
We
were
had a
gearing up for
solid
your
half
big
hour and
speech,
then-
man.
what I'm going to say is that I feel the final moment where like the amendment actually passes, like it
And
gets
Spielberg
through.
cuts away.
Like yeah, it cuts away, but then like you like
It's a red flag.
feel the moment and like the cheers. I feel like that single moment is like the thing is I love the entire movie the like entire time, but like the sheer level of catharsis at it being achieved that like I feel like it manages to convey. Now, I mean, obviously the abolition of slavery as like, well, the abolition of the institution of slavery as it existed then is always going to feel pretty good. Like, but I do feel the film
More than pretty good.
yeah, it's like
It's okay.
That's a good thing. We can say that.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
I'm gonna say it. I really dislike slavery, and I'm glad it got abolished. You know, but it's like the film pulls no punches in just like making you feel like you like feeling the weight of what happened. And I
Yeah.
truly love it.
Yeah.
I love that Spielberg like took every single filmmaking trick he could, had all the build up, and then even the cutting away, I even sort of respect, because it's like no moment can match how it feels when you imagine it, and then still cutting back to showing the reaction. It's like
But
it's
also,
mm,
it feels like, there's more work to do, right? This
yes,
isn't the end.
yes,
Like, we
yes.
still got we've got things that we need to do. Like,
Yeah, I
Well,
do.
I think it
we're
also
still
shows,
fighting this fight.
but it also shows like the real weight, and they have so many people and so many stories in this film. I think he does a good job sharing all the people's views, why they feel a certain way. So seeing the people and their reaction is more poignant than just the signing of it.
Yes, yes.
Because the signing of it means a lot in the historical context, but in the movie context, it means a lot more to the people. I will say, Declan, do you think he went a little far at the end when he decided to show Abraham Lincoln's death in gruesome detail?
I was surprised that
And then John Wilkes Booth came out and said, "It was me."
Here's how I would have done it.
That was a bit.
Here's how I would have done it.
What you said?
That shot of Lincoln walking in the hallway on his way to the theater, you show that he's walking away. You get the nice, sort of deep stage down the hall. He's walking. You slow that down, fade to black, and then just, a couple of text blocks on a black screen and maybe photos of Lincoln talking about like what happened in Reconstruction, what happened to end the war. Don't even say, Abraham Lincoln died April 15, 1865. You don't even
Everybody
need
knows
to.
he died.
Everyone knows.
I honestly feel like
yeah,
like I honestly wonder if like it was originally shot at like as the ending moment, but then like the one criticism I like truly have of Lincoln is I feel like the ending is weaker compared to the rest of the film. Like I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like there's just the scene of the butler looking on with this like look of like just like realizing what happened, and like we know Lincoln is walking to Ford's Theater. It's like we know what's happening. You don't need to then
Slade
show it. It's like and then cutting back to his second inaugural speech. It's
Mr.
like
Slade.
I almost feel like
Yeah.
Spielberg was like, we're going to do this ending, but I want to include the second inaugural. Let's figure out how to get this into the film. It's like it feels like it was forced in unnecessarily for the story, in my opinion.
I think it definitely was, but and that is where I agree with George, going all the way back to something he said in the beginning of it was too long. I agree, it was too long, but I still stand by the fact that I think it was a good watch. And part of that is because of who we know and who we have come to know Lincoln as like an incredible speaker, an incredible presence on stage, an incredible person to have at the helm of our country, right? And I'm okay with Spielberg milking that a little bit more than it needs to be. I'm okay with it being a little bit, probably more than a little bit idealized, right? I think if it was even Kennedy or somebody more modern, I would have more of an issue because we have that footage of them. We know what they sound like. We know how they move. We know what they talk like because we have archival footage. I think it's okay to do something like this with Lincoln and kind of put him up there in the upper echelon of world leaders and exaggerate it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
and draw it out as much as possible.
Mhm.
Did he do it too much? Probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will defend it
Perfect.
in that I do feel like each scene does a great job at conveying just how many directions Lincoln was being pulled at. You know, he is in one scene, it's like Preston Blair's like, in order to have my support, you need to let me offer peace to the Confederates. And then, you know, a couple scenes later, Seward's like, this literally undermines everything we work for. You know, it's like, and of course, Mary Todd is like, you know, destroying him. Robert wants to go to war, and like, yeah, Lincoln's trying everything he can to do it. But I can't disagree with it being long, but the problem is I love every scene of it too much to like fully
Yeah,
agree.
I don't think it's too
no.
long. I think the pacing is well done.
Declan, this is ultimately
sorry.
your favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find flaw with it, and I admire you for acknowledging concerns that I and the other two guys have had about the film.
Mm.
Even though for the first time, maybe ever, you and Ben are pretty much in lockstep on this.
Yeah, this is weird.
It's not my favorite film, guys. I'll just defend it
Yeah,
as a
we
very
know
good
Ben.
film.
That's true. Just
Yeah,
Ben,
yeah,
Ben
it's
actually
fine.
understands
If
like
you-
cinema, unlike you guys. No kidding.
Ben, if you win Funky Films again and you pick Lincoln, I will not be surprised.
It's not in my top 10, I'll put it that
With
way.
the way you've talked
It's
about it,
okay.
But
It's
I
number-
very much love Daniel Day-Lewis's performance.
Yeah.
And I love the way that
great.
Spielberg takes him.
Yeah.
I mean, especially given how much he can do. I love the times, and you talk about the pacing, but I think the pacing's really well done. Because it lets the other people in the film speak a lot. There are so many scenes where Lincoln is just listening for a few minutes. And actually, people have described him as that sort of person, where he would listen and then he would speak for a bit. And I think that he
You
does a
mean
very good
how
job.
conversation goes just with
No,
everyone?
no, but not like that. I mean, he would
Like
listen
like
for a
an-
like
while.
the
I'm
Ethan
just
Allen
fucking with you. I got what
for
you're saying.
example.
Yeah.
He's like in the corner, like you almost don't notice him, and then he suddenly like not reveals himself, but like it's like the focus is completely off him and on Stanton, and then all of a sudden it goes to.
So that's important though, right? And I think that that makes this film, that enhances, that sort of elevates this film for me too, is because it shows not just what we have heard about Lincoln through archival whatever, but it also is a testament to good leadership, right? I think that something that we don't often give leaders credit for is knowing when to shut up. And they don't often do that, especially now. They don't often know when it's time to sit back in the corner, let the other people around the table do the talking, bring the ideas, and then jump in, right? It's, you don't have to be the one that starts everything. You can be the one that organizes and sort of compiles everything together at the end and still be a leader. You can bring people across the finish line and help them accomplish what they need to. And I think that's another thing about this film that we don't get a lot of. It's a film about leadership. And like Ben said, it's not just Lincoln talking at us for 2.5 hours. That would have been awful.
Oh yeah. Yes.
It gives the
Declan
other
would've loved
characters
it.
space and room and their own story and autonomy within history to exist. And like that's something that we don't see. And I think that's something I definitely picked up on this watch.
Yeah. I honestly I appreciate, and it makes me respect Lincoln more, that it doesn't shy away from like showing the like underhanded nature of getting the votes needed to pass this. You know, like the climax, like the thing that like Lincoln does is like more solidly put himself in in front of these guys to get them to sign on and take the patronage jobs. I feel like, because again, it as Tommy Lee Jones, as Thaddeus Stevens says, it's like this bill gotten through corruption and deceit helped emancipate 4 million souls. So like whatever he said. I forget.
I think, yeah, it does do a really good job showing the legality of it, and certainly Lincoln was a lawyer, so he could talk. I think they did a good job putting just enough in, but not too much.
Yeah.
But showing that he understood the law and also the ambiguity in certain areas, but that there was an opportunity to do something. And a lot of the fundamental, legislators on either side were an obstacle in that progress, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get the vote.
Tyrant King Abraham Africanus the First, as the Democrat says, and as
Lee Pace, great performance.
100%.
But it also is it's a funny name there, and I'm sure because it's for Caesar. Caesar, also famously a man of the people who pushed the limits of his constitution. So it was nice to see that there were legitimate concerns that could be brought up. His
war powers speech, where he says I decided I had war powers that I needed to save the Union, and goes
but
through
that part is brilliant though. Sorry, George, I'll be really quickly, but
no, that's one of my favorite
that's
scenes.
brilliant, because that is accurate, and that is something that carries through today. Those are arguments that are happening as we speak in our political discourse, especially at the highest offices. That's cool, right? Like you said, Declan, I'm a political nerd. That is very cool to me. If you're a history person, I'm a political person. That is cool.
Yeah, there's a lot. Let's be honest. There's a decent amount of intersection between the two fields.
Yeah.
Well, certainly in this one,
I think what we see, Declan, what you brought up, and then Max, just going back to what you said about leadership and how it's portrayed. This film acknowledges Lincoln's flaws.
Oh yeah.
And I think what we get through Day-Lewis's performance, what we get through Spielberg's direction and Kushner's script, is we see Lincoln as an imperfect leader. And while he may have been the perfect man to lead at the perfect time, he was the only man to lead the Union through the Civil War. What we get from Abraham Lincoln is, he had to make the tough decisions that maybe didn't paint himself in the best light, but were ultimately in the best interest of preserving the Union. Whether it was,
I will say that
somewhat
that makes him a perfect leader, though. I mean, when we're saying perfect, I don't think there's any perfect, the most ideal leader
George
is all
Washington.
we can get,
Ulysses S. Grant. Next.
Grant is up there.
I mean,
Grant is the greatest president who ever lived.
Okay.
Honestly, Grant is up there. He's pretty good.
I will say we should let's give another credit in another bizarrely he was a known quantity then, but I feel like because of Chernobyl he's more famous now. Jared Harris as Grant. That's such an interesting casting. I would have never cast him as him. I liked him, but he
doesn't really look like him.
Yeah, exactly. I almost feel like I wouldn't cast Jared Harris in a Grant biopic, but I feel like given that he's it's small scenes here, I feel like it was
I'm gonna write a Ulysses S. Grant biopic. I want to do that. I'm gonna make that one of the movies I make in my career.
He comes off
Declan.
more evil than Robert E. Lee. Just, I don't know. It just his looks. I don't know if it's just the Jared Harris thing.
Because of Jared Harris.
He just seemed too evil to me.
Are you trying to call out Jared Harris?
I
don't know, man.
Oh my god.
But I'll defend again. I'll defend Lincoln for those moments. have an option there, right? And they pointed out in the movie, which is he could do nothing. And that would technically be the more legal thing. Technically it's not illegal because it's ambiguous law. So a judge has to decide it essentially.
No judge was gonna rule on that then. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, you can't.
honestly, we could have been so fucked if Lincoln was a bad guy.
Oh
Like,
my
he could have
gosh,
done
yeah.
anything.
But
Like-
he brings it up, which is it would not be ruled on during the war, but after the war it would be ruled on.
Right, but it
Um,
would have already been done.
Yeah, and
No.
And plus, when you lose a war, that's like you don't.
I was stuck at the Emancipation Proclamation.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see. I'm
Um,
sorry. I thought you were talking about secession itself.
No. But I think you have an option to do nothing, and he did the opposite. And who
That's
knows
James Buchanan said.
what that delay would be
Mm.
to get people freed. And even though it's not full freedom, and you still have issues,
Mhm.
and it's equal but separated.
Yeah. As
It's progress.
As that is,
And the further you delayed it, who knows?
and his lover say it's like it's a start, which
It's a
is
start.
and I think
Freedom first.
Yeah. No, I just like I said, it's my love of history and my love of Abraham Lincoln that causes me to love this film, and I feel that it's just this bizarre cacophony of some of the most talented people working in film coming together to tell the story of Abraham Lincoln, or not the story, a story of Abraham Lincoln. And so I was always probably going to like that. It just so happens that in this case, it became a favorite film of all time.
I like that you called it a cacophony when that implies conflict.
True.
I think you mean harmony.
That's probably the better term to use for it, a harmony of talent. But were there any other elements that the rest of you wanted to touch on? No. Yeah. Well, as I said, if you saw Lincoln in theaters 10 years ago and you haven't watched it in that amount of time, I would recommend giving it a rewatch.
I'll also recommend go watch Daniel Day-Lewis's other films for which he won all these Academy Awards.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch Phantom Thread if you're not feeling it. It's not a movie for me.
He won for There Will Be Blood, right?
Yeah, he won for There Will Be Blood. He's so good in that. He won for My Left Foot. Could have won for Gangs of New York.
He's also in Gangs of New York, and there is a scene where he goes like, "Lincoln, my enemy," or something like that, and it's really funny. I clap when that happens. Kidding, but yeah. So give it a watch. I highly recommend it. But until next time, where we'll go into the Shadow Realm. Oh wait, no, I'm just kidding. I mean a different
The Shadow Realm, Yu-Gi-Oh
realm, but that will be for next week.
All right.
Like that.
For now, this has been. Do you need me to do that again? I will honestly do it again.
No, we're keeping all of this in the recording.
It's still recording.
Yeah. No, I just the sheer pain on your face, George, was the perfect cap to this episode of the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. I'm kidding, but until next time, we're signing off. Go watch Lincoln, and then West Side Story, and then There Will Be Blood. Or
I don't know about that order.
Yeah, that's a weird order. Anyway, figure it out for yourselves, because you're an American and you're free, unless you're not.
You might not be American.
That's
not be American.
All audiences.
That's true.
And America's not the only one that's free.
That is
Jeff
true.
Daniels from the newsroom.
From the newsroom, yeah.
We somehow talked about that in the beginning, before the episode. Anyway.
All right.
Enough chicane.
We will see you next week.
See you next week. Till then, bye-bye.